Good evening, friends. Here is your medical news update for August 17, 2026. Segment 1, Oncology and Hematology Breakthroughs. FDA accelerated approval of iberdomide, Zenbexis, for multiple myeloma.
The news, on August 13, 2026, the FDA granted accelerated approval to iberdomide, Zenbexis, in combination with daratumumab hyaluronidase and dexamethasone, ZDD, for relapsed/refractory multiple myeloma, RRMM, after at least one prior line of therapy.
The mechanism, iberdomide is the first-in-class cereblin E3 ligase modulator, CLMOD, designed with higher binding affinity than traditional IMiDs for more potent degradation of Icaros and Iolos.
Clinical trial data, Excalibur RRMM Phase 3. The approval was based on a 41% MRD negative complete response rate, at 1-0, compared to 21% in the control arm, $p.0001. Dosing and safety, the recommended dose is 1 mg orally daily on days 1 to 21 of a 28-day cycle. The drug carries a boxed warning for embryo-fetal toxicity and thromboembolism, with strict contraindication in pregnancy.
2. Epcoritamab, Epkinly, Phase 3 trial clarification. The news, Genmab and AbbVie clarified that the Phase 3 EPCOR DLBCL-1 trial of epcoritamab monotherapy for relapsed/refractory DLBCL met its PFS endpoint but failed to reach the primary endpoint of overall survival, OS, in the U.S. patient population. Segment 2, Neurology and Psychiatry Updates 1. FDA approval of Taclarify, Florquinita F18, for Alzheimer's workup.
The news, on August 14, 2026, the FDA approved Taclarify, Florquinita F18, a novel PET tracer to visualize tau neurofibrillary tangles in adult patients with suspected Alzheimer's disease.
Clinical significance, the agent provides high-affinity binding to tau-rich cortical regions, aiding in the assessment of neurodegenerative pathology. 2. Testosterone therapy and cardiovascular risk, the evolving paradigm.
The insight, a new analysis in JAMA, https://jamanetwork.com/journals/JAMA, based on the TRAVERSE trial data, confirms that testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, does not increase the risk of major adverse cardiovascular events, MACE, in men with hypogonadism and high cardiovascular risk.
Segment 3, New England Journal of Medicine highlights. Reviewing the practice-changing trials published in the latest August 13, 2026 issue. 1. In vivo base editing of PCSK9 via VERVE-102.
The study, an EJM study highlights VERVE-102, an in vivo base editing therapy that durably lowers LDL-C by targeting the PCSK9 gene, representing a shift toward genetic modification for hypercholesterolemia.
2. Secukinumab for polymyalgia rheumatica, PMR. The study, Phase 3 trial data published in the EJM show that secukinumab offers a successful, steroid-sparing option for patients with PMR by significantly improving flare-free remission rates. 3. Talquetamab daratumumab combination in myeloma.
The study, data published in the EJM show that combining talquetamab with daratumumab produces high response rates in relapsed/refractory myeloma with minimal impact on B cell function.
Segment 4, Infectious Disease and Public Health Alerts. 1. Measles resurgence reaches a 3-decade high. The alert, data in JAMA indicate U.S. measles cases have reached a 30-year high. Physicians are advised to maintain a high suspicion for the classic rash prodrome and immediately isolate suspected cases. 2. Rising Candida auris and infectious threats.
The data, the CDC reports a significant increase in multi-drug resistant Candida auris across facilities, requiring strict environmental control. Concurrently, rising regional Ebola outbreaks require heightened travel history screening.
3. New therapeutics and vaccines approved in early August.
Mflusiva, approved August 5, 2026, a seasonal mRNA influenza vaccine for adults aged 50+. Corzifil, ovoparexton, approved August 5, 2026, targets underlying orexin deficiency in narcolepsy type 1.
Segment 5, Clinical Practice and Practice Management.
1. The proliferation of compounded GLP-1 medications. Asterisk the trend, an ongoing review highlights the high prevalence of compounded semaglutide and tirzepatide, prompting recommendations for clinicians to verify compounding sources and counsel patients on potential risks.
Environmental impacts on acute care.
The study, a cross-sectional analysis, reveals that wildfire smoke exposure correlates with an increase in emergency department visits for acute migraines and headaches, advising proactive management for vulnerable patients.
How is sudden cardiac arrest different from a heart attack? Sudden cardiac arrest is not a heart attack, myocardial infarction, but can occur during a heart attack.
Heart attacks occur when there is a blockage in one or more of the arteries to the heart, preventing the heart from receiving enough oxygen-rich blood. If the oxygen in the blood cannot reach the heart muscle, the heart becomes damaged. In contrast, sudden cardiac arrest occurs when the electrical system to the heart malfunctions and suddenly becomes very irregular. The heart beats dangerously fast. The ventricles may flutter or quiver, ventricular fibrillation, and blood is not delivered to the body. In the first few minutes, the greatest concern is that blood flow to the brain will be reduced so drastically that a person will lose consciousness. Death follows unless emergency treatment is begun immediately. Emergency treatment includes cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, and defibrillation. CPR is a manual technique using repetitive pressing to the chest and breathing into the person's airways that keeps enough oxygen and blood flowing to the brain until the normal heart rhythm is restored with an electric shock to the chest, a procedure called defibrillation. Emergency care providers use portable defibrillators, and frequently there are public access defibrillators, AEDs, automated external defibrillators, in public locations that are intended to be available for use by citizens who observe cardiac arrest.
WebMD. CNLDO, congenital nasolacrimal duct obstruction.
For infants younger than 1 year with CNLDO, lacrimal sac massage for 3 months was non-inferior to lacrimal duct probing in efficacy, with no serious complications in either group. These findings support lacrimal sac massage as an alternative to surgical probing for CNLDO in infants younger than 1 year, similar to those enrolled in this trial.
JAMAnetwork.com. Dengue vaccination.
Both TAK-003 and butantan DV are live-attenuated vaccines and are contraindicated during pregnancy and lactation, similar to other live-attenuated vaccines. Therefore, the most appropriate recommendation is to defer vaccination and counsel on vector control measures.
Medscape. Outro and call to action.
That wraps up our deep dive into the major medical news for August 17, 2026.
Drop your thoughts in the comments section below.
Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who cares about their health, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Be sure to subscribe to this channel.
Stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video.
Disclaimer: compiled information.
This content is for educational purposes and is not a substitute for professional advice. The audience must verify the contents before use. The creator, publisher, and YouTube will not be responsible for any harm.